and the United States can give things to Israel on Iran. And similarly with the Palestinians, it also has to change the incentive structure so it makes it more and more interesting to the Palestinians to again accept the two-state solution as the template, which they've been moving away from, to reject Hamas, which is a deal breaker for Israel. It's really a deal breaker in any kind of negotiation, to continue to invest in Palestinian industries. The Palestinian economy is finally rising.
But the core of your piece is basically, as I see it, you're saying, you phrase it more delicately, a strike on Iran in return for the uprooting of settlements on the West Bank.
Seriousness about Iran. And well, right now
You're speaking like a diplomat. What is seriousness about Iran?
Look, a strike on Iran is a very risky and unfortunate option if it has to happen. There are options that the United States...
What does it mean to be serious?
I think the word we're looking for is catastrophic, disastrous.
Nothing so catastrophic for the chances of peace than an Iran armed with the nuclear weapons supporting Hezbollah and Hamas.
You guys have to take a break, and we have to take a break. And we are back debating Israel and the Palestinians with Rashid Khalili and Brett Stephens. You said you thought that the United States was going about getting to a Palestinian state the wrong way. The Obama administration seems to be suggesting, this is only rumors, but some good reporting, that they're going to present their own peace plan. Presumably this would be some version of the Clinton plan of 2000. Is that a good idea to say, look, there's no point going through the endless negotiations. We know what the end point is going to look like. Let's start there, and some minor negotiations around the issues of Jerusalem and the holy sites is fine, but let's not reinvent the wheel.
Well, again, I'm again in agreement with Brett. His piece in Foreign Affairs talks about how unready Israel in some respects is and how unready the Palestinians are. And in my piece, I talk in particular about the Palestinians. If the Obama administration were to put such a plan as you're talking about, and such has been reported on the table, I don't think the conditions are propitious, and I don't think they've spent their first year in office seeing to it that they become propitious.
What would make them propitious?
One of them is the thing I talk about in my piece in Foreign Affairs. You cannot negotiate with a fractured Palestinian polity. Now, it's not up to the United States to rebuild Palestinian unity, but the United States can stop saying, this is a deal breaker if you include Hamas. You have to figure out a way to bring a Palestinian consensus to the table, and that includes necessarily and inevitably Hamas. Brett argues, it'll never change. That's rubbish. There are numerous signs.
I was just quoting Khalid Mashal, the General Secretary.
There are many things you can quote Mashal as saying. You can parse, again, statements right, left, and center of him, of the late lamented Sheikh Ahmed Yassin, and other people who have been blown away in the past decades by the Israelis, saying quite different things, 100-year truce with Israel, and so on and so forth. I don't think it's going to be an easy thing, but in fact, what I'm trying to say is neither in terms of Israel, where you have the most right-wing, most amenable government in quite a while.
One that includes Ehud Barak.
Nor in the case of the Palestinians, where you have a completely divided polity, is the situation propitious. And those are the kinds of things that I think they should work on if they actually seriously intend to put a proposal on the table.
But isn't it fair to say, Brett, that we kind of know what the end point is going to be? So why do we have to go through this elaborate confidence-building process when the Clinton plan of 2000 is roughly where the only viable solution, right?
Yeah, because the end point is a state of mind. It's not just a division of borders. It's very easy, if this were a territorial conflict, for reasonable people to say, okay, let's draw the border here. The issue is then what are the intentions of the parties after that? Are refugees a part of the mix? Is it really an end of claims? I'm really speaking from an Israeli point of view, but Palestinians also have their own sets of questions. So there is something. I mean, it's not because the parties are stupid or just vindictive or petty that this kind of settlement hasn't been achieved. It's because there are cultural, religious issues on both sides that simply can't be easily resolved across a negotiating table. And this is what worries me about bringing Hamas into a Palestinian government, because this conflict, and I think the Middle East generally, has been shifting from kind of a nationalist type of politics to a much more religious kind of politics. And when these things become tied up with...
In the West Bank, though, in the West Bank you have the most secular, the most moderate government for the Palestinians that they've ever had. Salman Fayyad, the prime minister, strikes me as probably the most competent, secular prime minister in the entire Arab world.
It's wonderful, but he wasn't elected.
Right.
Ismail Haniyeh
Right.
is the guy who rightfully holds the job if you accept the results of the 2006 election. And Mahmoud Abbas has extended his term by a year. He essentially rules by decree. So as popular as these guys, Fayyad and Abbas, are in the West, because we see them as moderates, people you can negotiate with, there's a real question about what the second liege or the second rank of Palestinians are actually thinking. So it's not at all clear to me that you really have that moderate core in West Bank politics. I think Hamas is only seen as weak in the West Bank. Because they haven't been able to act militarily the way they were in Gaza.
What do you say about Brett's point that this is not something that can be resolved just by geographic division, that this is a deep state of mind issue?
The first thing that has to be done is the United States has to get off the wrong track, which it's been on for a couple decades. I think that you do have issues of state of mind, but you also have issues of interest. I mean, you have developed in Israel what I call a settlement industrial complex. A vast network of people whose jobs and livelihoods, whether within the Israeli bureaucracy or in terms of the industries and companies and businesses that they run, depend on Israel controlling the Palestinians. There's a huge database. Every Palestinian is on it. Dozens of software companies produce stuff for that. There are security companies. There are 500,000 Israelis who live in illegally occupied territories, the West Bank, occupied Arab East Jerusalem. Those are issues that are at least as important as state of mind. What people really don't like is certain ways in which America, A, projects power, and B, supports undemocratic, autocratic, kleptocratic, rotten regimes, rather than allowing the democratic process to work itself out in various Arab countries where we see we have vital interests and we're holding these aging autocrats on their thrones.
Rashid is a neocon. On that note, so we are going to have to start. Rashid Khalili, Brett Stephens, pleasure to have both of you on.